So tonight I've taken it upon myself to fight back at Taco Bell trying to discontinue the Mexican pizza. I am going to try to make my own home version so you can make it as well once they make the terrible decision to discontinue this product, which is a family favorite, a household favorite, if you will. So it just takes a few ingredients and, you know, we go from there. So I'm here to help you. Don't despair through this discouraging times. I know 2020 can't get worse, but we're going to make it better with this Mexican pizza. All right, so I've got a pound of ground beef here, just kind of breaking it apart as we brown. And here in a minute, we're going to add just a regular taco seasoning packet and just follow package directions. And then before we do that, we'll drain the grease and I will show you the old time trick that my family has used. Don't forget that one. And so you want your pan on high heat, obviously. And I just kind of go through this just because I don't want like a big clob of meat. I want it to be nice and kind of diced. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is a little trick I had just to get the grease out is kind of push all the meat to one side. Then I'm going to just hopefully draw all the grease to the edge. Now, in my family, we save pickle jars. The one I have has already been used, so I thought it'd be really gross to show you. But this is just how we dispose of fat or grease. You can also just get like a paper towel and safely try to just absorb some of the oil in there. But before you throw that away, make sure that it's like cooled off on like a paper plate of some sort, so you're not putting in hot greasy napkin into a trash can, because that would be unfortunate and probably a fire hazard. Okay, so I've pretty much got about as much grease as I'm going to get out of there. You can see that it's not as successful, but there we go. Okay, so we got the grease out. And then what I do is I just cook it for a second more, because now you kind of got that beef dried out. Let's just open our handy packet of seasoning. I say that. Not very handy when you have to open it like this, but whatever. Okay, so we're gonna sprinkle on and kind of do according to package directions. I'm gonna incorporate it first. And it's got that classic taco smell. Just kind of cumin, some Mexican chili powder. And you don't really have to add any salt to this just because it has a lot of it already in there. Okay, and then on the package it says 2/3 cup of water. I kind of will eyeball it to see how thick I want the meat to be, but you're gonna try to get this up to a boil, so that way it kind of really thickens. It just works as like that kind of base to make it more like stewed meat. Just work it in there, and you can kind of tell, looks like we're just going to use it all. If anything else, like just cooking it longer will help. I also will add a little bit of shredded cheese at the end to kind of mix it up and make it a little bit more delicious. So that's a tip I'm giving to you for free. Okay, so I'm gonna let this kind of heat up. Try to get this to boil. Just do it for a couple minutes, and then we'll get started on the tortillas and also the beans, which is an integral part of this. So, okay, so we're gonna multitask here. We're gonna put about 1/4 cup of vegetable oil into a 10-inch pan. This is what we're gonna cook our tortillas with. We've got just a sauce pan here, which we're gonna cook the refried beans. So, nothing real fancy here about the beans. You're once again, I say cook to package instructions. Just you're gonna cook them. So we're just gonna mash these down here. I'd add a little water just to kind of make sure they're not like really chunky. And also it gives the oil time to heat up, because the last thing you want to do is put a tortilla in there and the oil not be hot enough, because it's just going to literally absorb all the oil and then you're going to be eating oil. So just going to fill up the can, so maybe 1/4 cup of water. Like I said, a lot of this is just personal preference. I don't like to have the beans super thick, and we're going to want to spread them on the tortilla, so you're going to want to be able to work with them. So just kind of swirl it in here. Put some more in there. Once again, because I like to add a lot of flavor and layers to this, I always add cheese to my refried beans, even when I'm cooking regular refried beans, just because why not? It's really good and it makes it really creamy. So we're gonna just let this go kind of on low heat. It just needs to be simmering and bubbling in the background. You know, not like a thing that you have to babysit a bunch. But once again, like I said, we're getting our oil heated over here, so a lot of different things going on, but we are getting really close to the finish, which kind of seems amazing that it's going to be this easy. So I'm excited. All right, so it's going to start crackling, but we're going to put our tortilla. I just got homemade tortillas from the local place down the street. So if you have a special one, you can do that as well. What I'm doing here, I should have done it before I put it in the pan, but I wasn't thinking. I'm kind of just trying to make some little divots here so the tortilla is not super fluffy, and then it just seems like a tortilla chip. So we're just gonna fry this bad boy about 30 seconds to a minute per side. You want to get it nice and crunchy, and I did do some testing yesterday. I tried doing it through the oven. I tried frying it, then doing the oven, and pretty much the best way I found was just frying it like this. And then I have a rack over here with a paper towel underneath that I will just transfer over once I'm done, and then any excess oil will drip onto that, and then you can throw that away and be done with it. So this is kind of puffing up, and it smells really good. Like, I love this smell of just like the cooked tortillas. Reminds me of home. Okay, so we're gonna flip, and then kind of just lightly pressing down here. It's kind of like puff pastry. Like, you don't want it to super puff up, because then it kind of loses its original integrity. So I'm making 2 Mexican pizzas. That's going to be 4 tortillas. So I may have you hang around here and watch the rest of these. All right, so we're going to take that, just kind of let it drip off the side, add another. Once again, forgot to do my poking trick. So here we go. Just in the pan. Like I said, I'd recommend doing it outside of the pan. Got beans bubbling up over here, so just need to stir them a little. Just doing my babysitting duties, and we're gonna flip. Kind of just shake that out. See how it's puffing up. And honestly, like, it's not that bad if it puffs up. I'm very particular. So, like over here, I'm just gonna kind of cut it with my knife, which is what I should have done prior to the video, but I'm letting you guys see behind the scenes. Okay, take this boy off. Kind of let it drift there. Just stir this around so we know it's coated. Okay. So see, this is the perfect example of how my plan will work. Perfectly kind of circled, not too puffy, but it's still gonna have that great crunch whenever you cook it. Just gonna kind of turn it. See if you want to just check. Ooh. Could still do a little bit longer. I kind of like mine browned. So. All right. Flip. All right, and then the last one. All right, so I cleaned out my pan from the oil, and I'm just adding some enchilada sauce. So I've got two different kinds. Got just taco sauce, and then I've got enchilada sauce. So it really just depends on your taste preference. That's kind of the cool thing about doing it from home. You do everything the way you want, and it's even better than the original. So just kind of wanting to get a heat through on this, because we are going to ladle it over our hot tortillas. We've got the meat that's still kind of hot from being heated. We've got the hot beans. Sorry, don't know why I said rice. But then we are going to assemble it and get ready. All right, now it's time to assemble. So we're going to start with our base here and just get some beans on the bottom. Like I said, I added cheese, so that's why they're extra thick and creamy. Just spread this kind of like you would icing. As little or as much as you'd like. Okay. All right. Just kind of stir through the meat here. Just spread that on. All right. Then we'll just put its little lid back on. We'll get my red sauce here, and I'm actually going to transfer it over to my pan, because what we're going to do is put the sauce on, put the cheese on, and then you want it to melt. So we're just going to put it under the broiler for a little bit, just a low broil. So kind of stir it in here. Just kind of want to, you know, you want to drench it, but at the same time you want to make sure you have that flavor on there and that you know it's there. So just try and get the surface area. And it's okay if it drips down. So then we will add the cheese on top. And we will add the traditional tomatoes at the end. And then we'll put it in the broiler, like I said, probably just a couple minutes, maybe less than. You can just eyeball it and see how it melts and how it looks. All right, so I've got these out of the oven, out of the broiler. And now it's time to plate. And I've got a little trick up my sleeve for this one. All right. All right, then you just get your fresh tomato. All right, so we finished plating. And all I have to say is we will continue making the Mexican pizza, even if Taco Bell decides that they're not going to bring it back. So that will not dampen my spirits. We will continue to make it. We will enjoy it in this house. And all I have to say is, fare thee well, Mexican pizza. We hardly knew ye.